Welcome back to In the House with Beth and Ryan. I'm Beth and this is Ryan. Today we are going to give our predictions for what we think is going to happen in the Guelph real estate market in 2024.
But first, let's talk about what's happening at the end of 2023. And the answer is not much because there aren't a lot of buyers out there right now. Buyers seem to have been sidelined with either higher interest rates or just waiting for some sort of direction in the market and really aren't doing a whole lot. And the buyers that are out there are being able to negotiate more, have conditions in their offers. And on the other side of that transaction, the seller has to be a little more flexible on their sale price almost every time now, except less than the asking, and expect that they're going to get conditions, even a sale of property condition on their home. Anything else you want to add to the current market?
No, I guess it reminds me a little bit about what happened last spring when we kept waiting for the market to come. When September came this year, I remember feeling that same thing again, where typically September is actually a pretty busy market here in Guelph and probably across most places. And it felt like it didn't really happen.
It didn't arrive.
We did see inventory increase, as we mentioned already, but we just didn't have the buyers to kind of buy through and have that inventory moving. So it just felt like it almost didn't really happen. And now we're already approaching Christmas and it feels like, the fall market didn't ever really come.
Yeah, it didn't really. And as we look to 2024, maybe this is a good segue. As we look into 2024, there are some bold predictions from some of the banks saying that the lack of people buying in Q4 this year are going to arrive in Q1 or spring next year, along with the traditional spring market. So some economists are actually expecting that next spring is going to be very busy. A lot of transactions and a lot of buyers. And that probably will hold true of interest rates decline as well.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens with prices in a market like that, where it's just very busy, but potentially supply matches demand, right? So,
well, let's get into our 2024 prediction. So the first one we have for the full year next year is that we anticipate 3 to 5% increase on the average price of a house in Guelph. And now we've had a slight decline this year, but we anticipate that next fall, where we're really slow this year, it's going to pick up next year and make up some ground versus this year. So overall, 3 to 5% average price gain and potentially 3 to 5% increase on the overall total volume if you add all the sales of all the homes together. So that's the first one. The second one, do you want to talk about the second one?
Yeah, condos.
Yeah.
So we're seeing, as we see the price of detached houses start to come down, condos are seeming a little bit less appealing from a financial standpoint purely, because you've also got condo fees to contend with. So we're predicting that the condo market may see a little bit of a decline as the price of detached houses have come down already.
And people are making the switch to a detached where they can. A detached, for example, you can buy some bungalows right now in Guelph at $750,000. For some people, a $599 condo plus condo fees equates to about the same amount. So given the two, a lot of buyers, especially first-time buyers, would prefer the detached home. So until that gap widens again.
Right. And for context, that same $750,000 bungalow a year ago would have been around $850,000. And we didn't see the same level of decrease in condos as a percentage. So there's more value now in a detached home, or more perceived value. It depends on your priorities, of course. But just from a purely financial standpoint, there's more value now in that type of a home.
So we think single family detached homes are probably going to lead the market growth next year. And lastly, something we've noticed in the past couple of months, which I think is going to increase again and reminds me very much of early COVID days, is that we've noticed a spike in buyers coming from the GTA. So we take a look at the data every month. We take a look at who's buying what. And we've noticed that on average, about 25 to 30% of the sales every month come from out-of-town agents, which who are presumably representing out-of-town buyers. Maybe not, maybe some local buyers. But in the last couple of months, those numbers have been in the 40 and sometimes 50% range. meaning that, people are doing what they call drive to qualify or drive to purchase or whatever the term is. And they're coming into Guelph.
Right. So as we've seen the cost of borrowing increase, these same buyers can no longer afford this year what they could have afforded last year in, say, Toronto or places closer to Toronto. And so they're driving farther into Guelph, where they can qualify for a little bit more house.
Yep. And places like Brampton, in particular, is seeing a large move into Guelph. Mississauga as well, Milton even. People who are looking to move to those places have actually decided, okay, well, maybe it's worth the extra 30 minutes to get to Guelph. And so as a result, certain neighborhoods in Guelph are going to benefit from that. We anticipate that the east part of Guelph, Grange Road area, and South Guelph will benefit from buyers from the GTA moving out towards us.
And we saw, it's a pretty easy prediction to make based on really recent history. During the pandemic, when we saw a ton of buyers coming from the GTA to Guelph, those were the neighborhoods in our experience that they were most drawn to. Obviously, they're really commutable areas.
Those are our 3 predictions. We'll see in a year's time how we've done. The link to the full article is in the notes. And if you have any questions, as always, on the Guelph real estate market, you can find us at bethandryan.ca.